Hey, what's up, Foosballers? This is Tyler the Waiver King Ward coming at you live from the only place in the world where the weather forecast just says satanic, aka my garage, the hottest place on earth. So I'm gonna try to keep this short-ish because it's like 120 degrees in here. Today has a very important episode, so you gotta pay attention to this. Okay, so we are gonna put our names to 3 players a piece, Jason and I, and we're gonna guarantee their success. We're gonna guarantee that they outperform their ADPs by a lot. So we're gonna put our names on these players. We're gonna check on them through the year, and hopefully this will be a reoccurring thing, year in and year out. So I was sitting thinking about a name, like what do I want to call these? Like a fantasy beefcakes, fantasy what, and my wife is a huge fan of Harry Potter, and she was watching that new terrible movie, like the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and 10 other words that I don't know. And I was thinking, Fantasy Beasts and Where to Find Them. I could tell people about the Fantasy Beasts and what round to find them in. So I Googled it, and I didn't see anything about it, like, any other articles, Fantasy Beasts and Where to Find Them. I YouTubed it, I didn't see it either. But, whenever you think of something clever, there's already somebody that did something. So I'm expecting, well, hopefully if we ever get big enough, which probably won't happen ever, but we might have to change the names. But for now, we're keeping it Fantasy Beasts and Where to Find Them. So this is part 1. I'm already sweating hardcore. Jason will hopefully come out with 3 players soon. And I know fantasy drafts are happening soon. Ours is in 2 weeks. We usually wait till the very end because we've been screwed by injuries so much. We wait till the very last weekend. And if you're a fantasy manager, I would recommend that as well, because people get screwed drafting and then people getting injured in preseason or whatever, dude. It sucks. I mean, I drafted Gus Bus last year after J.K. Dobbins went down. I thought I was in the clear. Gus Bus goes down like before the first game, man. I also had Christian McCaffrey last year. Anyways, let's get this started. Fantasy Beasts. So, no particular order. It's just how it's going to go. My first one is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's 22 years old, the second-year wideout for the Detroit Lions. He's going in the 5th round right now, and he's might get a bump because of the Hard Knocks going on right now. So I don't know if you noticed, but certain players they spotlight on Hard Knocks usually start to increase their ADPs for some reason. It's a Hard Knock bump or whatever. And you can't help but to like the dude, man. He's like looking at the camera, super pissed, talking about all the people that went in front of him. It's like Tom Brady, but a wide receiver. And he already has the credentials to prove he can do it. So the first thing is he's a second-year wide receiver, and that's usually when they make their biggest jump from, if they have a good rookie wide receiver season, it's a safe bet to say they're going to have a great second-year wide receiver season. And they usually outperform their ADPs by a lot on those second-year wide receivers too, because, people don't want to make bold claims and say they're going to be superstars their second year, so their ADP stays lower than it should. So here's some stuff I didn't know. I mean, I knew he was awesome, but I started digging deep. So he broke the Lions receiving records with most yards and most catches last year. So he had 912 yards and 90 catches last year. He had no fewer than 10 targets a game over the last 6 games. That's crazy. And he was fantasy wide receiver number 2 over that span, which is the most important span in fantasy. Through the playoffs, to get you the playoffs, everything. This is crazy. He passed Calvin Johnson's record of catching 8 or more passes in 6 consecutive games during that span. So he's already breaking Calvin Johnson's records, man. And he's not happy. This guy, you should watch the video. This guy's pissed. And, I mean, everybody knows that I like the Lions, You can't have anything against them or anything, but they're going to be playing from behind all year. And if you play fantasy, that is great for wide receivers and quarterbacks because they are going to get tons of garbage time. So, dude, even if he doesn't do good for 3 quarters, he's going to get all of his numbers in the 4th quarter and save you every week. That's if he doesn't come through. And he already caught a touchdown in preseason. Like, he is Jared Goff's safety blanket. That is how it is. And I know they got a couple more wide receivers, you know, DJ Shark, and I think they drafted somebody, whatever it was, but DJ Shark's going to be a touchdown guy. He's huge. You know, this Amon-Ra St. Brown is like 6 foot tall, 200 pounds. He's going to work between the numbers and get all the catches. So I'd rather have him. So that's the first fantasy beast, and the 5th round is where to find him. Let's go to the next one. James Cook, running back. Buffalo Bills, he got drafted in the 2nd round. They spent, I mean, if you draft a running back in the 2nd round these days, that means you're going to use them because that's a lot of draft capital on a running back. Nobody wants to draft running backs high, so that's saying something. Plus, they brought in a bunch of pass-catching running backs anyways over the offseason. They tried to sign J.D. McKissick and all kinds of stuff. So they are looking for a pass-catching running back. That is part of what they want to do with their offense, and they have not really had it. So I checked out the targets for the Bills running backs last season, and they had a total of 96. Even with the running backs they didn't want to throw it to. So if they get a pass-catching specialist, you're looking at maybe 100+ targets to James Cook this next season, which could be, he'll outperform his 11th round ADP pretty easily. He's fast. He's got a 4.4. 240, so he can get those long, and he can catch a screen pass and take it to the house. If you're in a league with big bonuses for big touchdowns, this guy would pay off. Get you an extra 20 points over the year or something like that. I thought this was crazy. So he did not drop one of 78 targets he got at Georgia last year. So he is an amazing pass-catching running back. He busted out a 20-yard run this last preseason where he just blew everybody out. So he's going to run, and he's going to catch a lot of balls, man. And all he's got in front of him is Devin Singletary, and I think he's got somebody else, but that guy sucks. I've been trying to get rid of him for a long time. And Devin Singletary hasn't lived up to his ADP in forever. So James Cook, man, 11th round. That's a fantasy beast, and where to find him. I'm being stupid, I'm sorry. All right, number 3 fantasy beast. I've talked him up already, man, a couple videos. Trevor Lawrence, best draft prospect since Andrew Luck, who was the best prospect since Peyton Manning. So, I mean, you got to expect him he's going to be a good quarterback. It's not if, it's when. And so I started thinking about, Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz had an MVP season under Doug Peterson. That was Carson Wentz's 2nd year in the league. Given, he got to know the offense and everything, but still, that's a big deal. I checked out Trevor Lawrence's rushing attempts in Clemson. He had 68 rushing attempts for 200 yards and 8 touchdowns in 10 games. So he had 10 games and 8 rushing touchdowns. He can run the ball, and he could get a lot of goal line sneaks. So I think that he's going to be playing garbage time. That's a big deal, man. Quarterbacks, wide receivers, garbage time, garbage time, garbage time. He might sneak in, 8 touchdowns this year rushing. And on top of all that garbage time, I think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback. That's what my prediction is. And he's getting drafted in the 14th round as quarterback 27. So his last year in college, he had nearly a 70% completion rate as well, which is just amazing. Playing against the best competition with all those rushing touchdowns, that high percentage completion, it's a big deal. So Carson Wentz, in his 2nd year, that MVP season, he had the most rushing attempts of his career, 64. And there were gains of 30-plus yards on 3 separate occasions. So Carson Wentz had 30-plus rushing yards, in one play on 3 different times. That's crazy. If you watch Carson Wentz, you don't think that's possible sometimes. So I'm just looking at all this. I'm comparing him to Carson Wentz. I'm comparing him to, all these other people. And I have a feeling that he is going to everybody's, the Jaguars are being undervalued anyways because of their situation, which is rightfully so. But there is a potential to buy low on all these players and Jaguars until they become high, sell highs or whatever. And that could be next year. So if you want to get in on this, you should probably get on it now. Anyways, those are my fantasy beasts and where to find them. I tried not to make anything too obvious because, everybody knows the first couple rounds are full of fantasy beast. There are some people that are overvalued there, but I'm not going to point those out. If you like this video, you can do it in real life. And subscribe and like that little thumbs up thing. If you hate this video, you can do that in real life too and leave a hurtful comment, Tell me how stupid I am and how big of a mistakes my parents made. Anyways, do whatever you have to do. Because we're going to keep on coming out with videos regardless. So this is the Fantasy Foosballers. Thank you for watching, and hopefully Jason will release his part 2 of this video soon. If not, I'll be coming to you in a couple days. So later.